Hello friend, today we shall discuss about topic the project lifecycle models. Friend, today's topic is very interesting, especially if you have interest in project management or you are planning to give exam or PMP in near future. Friend, project lifecycle model basically it describes the various stages a project goes through from start till finish. These are there are different types of models used depending on the nature of the project. So today we shall discuss in detail waterfall, agile, and hybrid. So waterfall, if we talk about, is basically a model is a linear and a sequential approach where each phase must be completed before the next one begins. It's like building a house. You need to finish the foundation before you start on the walls, and you need the walls before the roof. So basically, this is the sequential approach. First phase finish, then the next phase will start. The phases are requirement gathering, means understanding and documenting what is needed by the customer. Then design means plan how to build the solution and design. Then implementation, building the solution actually. Testing, checking the solution works as expected. Deployment, release the solution to the users. And maintenance means fix issues and make improvements as needed. Then example, imagine you are creating a new website for a client. First you gather all the requirements, what pages, features and design the client wants. Next you design the website. Once the design is approved, you build the website. After building, you test it to make sure everything works. Then you launch the website. Finally you handle any issues that come up after the site is live. Then agile model. The agile model is an iterative and flexible approach. Instead of completing the project in one go, it's broken down into smaller pieces called sprints. Each sprint typically lasts 2 to 4 weeks and results in a working product environment. So phases in each sprint are planning, decide what to do in the sprint, design, plan how to implement the task, development, build the features, testing, test the new features, review, evaluate the sprint's work, and retrospective means discuss what went well and what could be improved here as well. The example are, suppose you are developing a mobile application. In the first sprint, you might focus on creating the login functionality. In the second sprint, you could add the user profile features. In each sprint, you plan, build, test and review the progress, allowing for adjustments based on feedback and changing the requirements. Next is the hybrid model. The hybrid model combines elements of both waterfall and agile. It uses the structured phases of waterfall but allows for iterative and flexible development like agile within each phase. So when we talk about hybrid, basically we are mixing the two approaches, hybrid waterfall and agile. The phases are, for example, requirement gathering. So collect the initial requirements like using the waterfall model. Then in the design, creating a high level design using the waterfall approach. Iterative development and testing means using agile sprints to develop and test parts of the project. So here we are using the iterative or the agile sprints in the development phase. Final integration testing, combine all parts and perform final testing using the waterfall approach. Deployment, release the project to users like waterfall approach. Maintenance, handle issues and improvements like waterfall approach. Here friend, you will notice that you are using only the execution phase. You can say like for development testing we are using the agile or sprint based approach, and rest of the phases are basically we are using the waterfall approach. Okay, so basically this is the hybrid approach. Here you will notice that few phases we are using the waterfall approach, and in one phase, like for example in the development testing phase, we are using the agile approach. Okay, so this is basically a mixture of both approaches, waterfall and the agile. Then example, imagine you are developing a complex software system for a company. You start by gathering requirements and creating a high level design. Then you break the project into smaller parts and use agile sprints to develop and test each part. After all parts are developed, you integrate them, perform final testing and then deploy the system. So this is basically the approach or an example of the hybrid approach. In summary, friend, we can say that waterfall is basically sequential and rigid. Each phase must be completed before the next begins, good for projects with clear unchanging requirements. Agile is basically the iterative and flexible approach. Work is done in short cycles called sprints, good for projects with evolving requirements. Hybrid is basically combine elements of waterfall and agile, uses structured phases with iterative development within phases, good for complex projects needing both structure and flexibility.